Let's be honest. When it comes to global economic growth, China is leaving the rest of the world in the dust. While Western economies struggle with inflation, stagnant wages, and rising debt, China has proven once again that its model works by hitting a solid 5% GDP growth target in 2024. Despite all the fear-mongering about China's so-called economic slowdown, the reality is clear. China is still growing, innovating, and expanding its influence, while Western economies are fighting just to stay afloat. So how did China not only survive, but thrive in 2024, when the US and Europe were dealing with recession fears, political instability, and economic stagnation? And more importantly, what are China's big plans for 2025 that will ensure it stays ahead while the rest of the world falls behind? That's exactly what we're diving into today. One of the biggest reasons China has continued to grow while the West struggles is simple stability and long-term vision. Look at the US and Europe. Their economic policies flip every few years depending on who wins elections. One government spends recklessly, the next one cuts everything, then another comes in and reverses it all again. It's chaotic and unpredictable. Businesses can't plan for the future, and investors are scared to commit. Meanwhile, China's leadership remains stable, allowing the government to implement long-term economic plans that actually work. Policies aren't just about winning the next election, they're about ensuring steady growth for decades. While Western governments spent 2024 bickering over budgets, shutting down over debt ceilings, and debating tax hikes, China was actually building its economy. Manufacturing has been the backbone of China's success, and it's one of the biggest reasons the country continues to outperform Western economies. The US and Europe outsourced their industries decades ago, choosing to rely on cheap foreign labor while focusing on services and finance. But now, they're paying the price. They don't make anything anymore. China, on the other hand, is expanding and upgrading its manufacturing sector. It's not just about being the world's factory anymore. It's about leading in high-tech industries, automation, and AI-driven production. On top of that, China continues to invest in infrastructure, something Western countries completely ignore. China is home to the world's largest high-speed rail network. The US? Still arguing about building one bullet train. China is developing smart cities, modern highways, and new energy grids. The West? Struggling to fix 50-year-old bridges and potholes. China is leading in green energy, investing billions into solar, wind, and nuclear. The US and Europe? Still debating whether clean energy is even worth it. While Western economies are retreating from globalization, China is expanding its influence worldwide. The Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI, has solidified China's position as the center of global trade, with billions invested in railways, ports, highways, and digital infrastructure across Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Europe. Western countries, meanwhile, are closing themselves off, focusing on protectionism and trade restrictions. The United States is obsessed with banning Chinese tech, restricting exports and slapping tariffs on everything. But none of that is stopping China from growing. In fact, while the US tried to block China from accessing key semiconductor technology, China developed its own. Companies like Huawei and SMIC are proving that China doesn't need the West. It's perfectly capable of leading in high-tech innovation all on its own. China isn't just sitting back and celebrating its success, it's making big moves for 2025 and beyond. They're not just catching up in technology, they're taking the lead. Artificial intelligence China is pouring billions into AI research, aiming to surpass the US in AI dominance by the end of the decade. Automation and robotics. While the West worries about job losses, China is integrating robots and smart factories to enhance productivity and efficiency. Quantum computing and 6G technology China is already outpacing the US and Europe in these next-gen fields, setting the stage for future technological leadership. One of China's smartest strategies is its focus on economic self-reliance. Instead of depending on Western imports, China is building its own supply chains, ensuring it never has to beg for technology, energy, or resources from other countries. The dual circulation strategy is all about balancing domestic production with global trade. So even if the West tries to cut China off from its markets, China will continue to grow independently. China is also making huge moves in the financial sector, especially when it comes to reducing reliance on the US dollar. Right now, most global trade is done in USD, which gives the US massive power over international markets. But China is challenging that dominance by pushing the yuan as an alternative. More countries are now trading in yuan instead of dollars. The BRICS alliance is expanding, offering an alternative to Western-controlled financial institutions. Digital yuan technology is advancing, making China's currency more accessible globally. The long-term goal? A world where China leads the global financial system and the US dollar loses its stranglehold on international trade. While the West falls into economic decline, China is building the future. The US and Europe are trapped in political chaos, outsourcing, and financial instability, while China is expanding, innovating, and leading in every major sector: manufacturing, technology, trade, and finance. The numbers don't lie. China's economy is growing faster and stronger than its critics expected. And with bold new strategies for 2025 and beyond, it's clear that China isn't slowing down anytime soon. So, what do you think? Is China on its way to becoming the world's #1 economic superpower? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the global economy. Thanks for watching.